Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. What? Of Sway?
That's a
We
new
are
one.
feng shui today.
Yes.
Well, let me do that again for the edit. Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Aubrey Worek. Aubrey is a graduate of Slippery Rock University with a BS degree in exercise science and a minor's in dance and gerontology. She began working passionately in the field of health and wellness as a group fitness coordinator, personal trainer, and exercise specialist at the Clinical Wellness Centers of Cape Coral, Florida. She moved back to her hometown of Pittsburgh, PA, Pennsylvania, where she became an assistant wellness director for Partners in Corporate Health. Wow. You guys, she is like certified in just about everything, but some of my favorites, I guess I have to say the pole dancing sounds really fun. And
Yeah.
if you guys were watching, I posted a video of her doing some crazy antics off of her couch. She's amazing. She is the Fitness America champion. And and she also owns a studio. And what is the name of that again?
My studio is called Fitness Envy, ENVI.
Okay. And so she owns a studio, which is near and dear to my heart, and does all kinds of unique classes. And I'm going to have her, when I introduce her here in a second, I'm going to have her talk about some of those. And we are going to talk about how to not eat like a schmuck at the holidays. So how we can kind of have some strategy around the 10 to 15 pound weight gain that most people have around the holidays. And without further ado, I am welcoming my friend Aubrey to the show.
Hey, Linda, it is so great to see you. So I was reminiscing about the years that we've been competing together with Fitness America and just crossing paths in the fitness industry. It's been awesome seeing you through social media and all the impact that you have on live. So I'm really excited to be doing this with you today.
You were my fairy godmother. I have to just tell this part, you guys. I am not a ballerina per se or a dancer. Okay. I can dance. It has been seen. People are like, when I let loose, I can really dance, but it's not structured dancing.
All organic,
It's all organic, homegrown. It's not choreographed. Now, if you were to have me teach choreography, I can teach it. It has to be repetition, though. Mm-hmm. I can teach a crazy, amazing step class, Zumba, any kind of hip hop. But when it comes to standing and learning from the amazing choreographer that we had, Tony, I can't remember his last name. Do you know what his name was?
It starts with a G.
Well, he's an amazing choreographer, you guys. He's kind of like famous. I'm kind of embarrassed I forgot his last name. Yeah. But it was crazy. And Aubrey, oh my gosh, she would completely keep me in line and get me going and show me the ropes. And I thank God for her because I moved from the back of the room to the front, you guys. And that took a lot of courage for someone like me.
I'd love to hear that. That's what it's all about, Linda. That's great.
So that's the scoop, poop. Well, anyway, what have you been up to since, winning your championship? I haven't seen you since.
Yeah, so since that was in 2015. Life has been great, and I had a baby. My son just turned 2 last week, and that's very exciting. In the interim, I have, right after Fitness America that year, I landed a spot on a local television show that's called the Pittsburgh Today Live Show. And I go on once a month as their fitness and wellness expert, which I absolutely love to do to help just share some fitness tips with the Pittsburgh audience. So that's a lot of fun. And I've been able to grow and enhance my online transformation coaching programs that are unique in the fact that I integrate various blood type eating approaches with my clients, and even getting into some spiritual development. So it's been a lot of fun these last couple of years.
Wow, I really like that. Now with your weekly, is it a weekly show or is it monthly?
It's a monthly. I go on once a month. On a Fitness Friday is what we call it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Now, how did you, because I have a lot of wellness and fitness educators and trainers that listen to the show. How did you go about landing a spot on your local network?
I'm really glad that you asked that, because, by the way, I do have a blog about it. If I'd be happy to share it and how to go about it. But bottom line, I took that opportunity of winning Fitness America in 2015. I thought, I need to do something with this win. I contacted the local news stations. I put together a press release, and a different news station did a segment on me for that, for winning. And I reached out to KDKA Channel 2 in Pittsburgh, and I told them about my win, and they're like, well, that's kind of nice, but what, can you do something else?
Yeah, most public don't relate to flipping across the stage.
Yeah, they're like, what's the value of that to our viewers and our show? So my best advice is to, number one, be your own agent. Nobody's going to suddenly say, wow, look at your accolades. Why don't you come on this television show? You have to be a go-getter and sell yourself as much as you would be landing any other job interview. So the press release was crucial. Getting those necessary contacts was vital, and also making sure that you know who you're pitching this to. So I had to make sure that I knew the show very well and to create value for the producer.
Well, I find that so interesting. It's not what you think sometimes that is going to take you to that next level. I know, like, you might think it's, winning the Fitness America championships. And, for me, I might think that it's, being 56 and placing second in a bikini show, or, but what you find is, that doesn't really relate to your average population. Mm-hmm. And I really realized this recently when I was in the green room with Lewis Howes. I won tickets to go to Powerful You. And I'm in the green room, and we're picking his brain, because, this is like a special occasion. You're with the best of the best with podcasting. And one of the ladies was talking about, the motivational speakers. And she said, nobody here really speaks to my space. I'm a mom. I'm at home with 3 kids. And, none of these motivational speakers, except for Rachel Hollis, are truly speaking to where I am at. I don't relate. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I kind of pondered on that. And I thought, wow, like that's eye-opening. Mm-hmm. Reaching the people that you're actually trying to reach and speak to. Are you really relating to them where they're at? That's huge, right? And then I was in class, and I had a lady, they were just talking, and I was talking about stuff that was way like out there, things that I was doing, because I don't have any kids at home anymore. I just have puppies.
Gotcha.
And so I'm living the life I never got to have, because I had kids from 19 on up. And so now I'm having some fun in a different way. And so I realized, she's like, hey, I'm like knee high in diapers, and we are watching Elmo. And, she's like, it really spoke to me. Oh my God, no, I'm missing the boat here, because I'm not on a relational level. So that's pretty key. So that's how you got in there. You basically, it wasn't your Fitness America.
No, they were like, oh, that's all well and good. But as you can see with my bio, I worked very hard in our industry to acquire, a degree, a various certifications, clientele base, and they were interested in that, absolutely. But it was more from the standpoint where, our viewers want to be able to take something practical, and those who aren't into like the traditional gym workouts, what can they do? What would actually motivate them and inspire them to do just a couple minutes of exercise a day? So we keep it really simple and really fun each month. And I come up with some silly names for exercises so that they'll remember it. And I think, you got to keep it entertaining too. So anything with television, it was kind of almost like the first time I was on, I knew it was kind of like my audition. And I thought, all right, I need to pitch them something if they want me to come back. And then after that, they were like, why don't you keep coming back? That seems like a good idea. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity, but it definitely took a little bit of digging to do.
Well, I love that. And I have to say, I have a bio that looks just like yours. So, I took everything, every certification under the sun.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing I've really recognized, because I used to always think it was just like making it like this crazy workout, this new workout that nobody's doing, this hard workout, this, although people do like all of that, the main thing is connection. Are you connecting with your audience? Are you connecting with the people where they're at? Last night at my gym, we were telling labor stories.
Nice. Those were probably very interesting and entertaining.
Everybody had a story.
Oh, yes. Oh, I know. Amen.
That was a deep level of connection. We are forever bonded now.
Sure. Well, you'll never forget those stories either, as long as you live.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am excited to dive into our topic of holiday eating and how can we maintain and not get this horrendous weight gain that people end up with because of the cold and, the warm, cuddly feeling of eating chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, yes, I know. If only, you know what, you can eat the chocolate chip cookies in your dream state. So those are all calorie free to the best of my knowledge. So happy dreaming about that. But, the tips that I wanted to share with you and your audience, Linda, is, take this week to first just kind of take your own temperature, so to speak, of what your eating is. And I want you to grade yourself at the end of each day. Like if you were going to school, you get A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay. And at the end of the day, based on how you feel, what letter grade would you give yourself? And I recommend people who that, they're not my one-on-one clients, but when I speak to general audiences, and then at the end of the week, you want to look at your average. So if I have on average, I'm a C minus and you want to be a B plus, then you assess yourself and say, how am I going to increase this? And we focus on just one thing at a time. For example, you got to keep it simple. So it could be merely as simple as increasing your water intake, but you need a strategy on how you're going to do that, because it sounds all sunshine and puppies until it's like, well, how am I going to increase my water intake when I don't have a system in place? So the system has to be like, maybe you have a special water bottle that you really like drinking out of, or I have another blog about like using glass mason jars, and you kind of have a system in that way. But it has to be a structured system in order to elevate your health, if we're basing it on that letter grade system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that. That's simple. What grade do you give yourself for the day? Now, what if I give myself an F?
Okay, so the whole F, you know what? I tell people this, everyone is so different, because my week could look like someone's rock star week, or my week could look like someone's rock star week, the rock star after they just did the concert and they partied too hard. So it's based on perception. And if you're grading yourself an F, it doesn't matter how I would view it. I might say, Linda, you're too hard on yourself. You're at least a C plus. But it's up to you to say, what are your expectations of yourself? So if you went on a complete binge and ate, pizza, French fries, nachos, 7 days, and that was your F, then we have nowhere else to go but up. And that's what I tell people. If you reached complete rock bottom, congratulations, because it doesn't get any lower than that. And we're going to climb you back up to at least get you to at least that C, at least get you to average where you're feeling better.
What about these people out here that are always starting over? I mean,
yes.
I know a zillion people that, you know,
I'm glad you mentioned that.
They're always just starting over.
So that leads me to another point that I wanted to bring up. So I'm glad to segue into it. I say, don't be a fad diet flip-flopper. However, I'm okay with people who are always trying to start something because they have the best intention.
Yeah.
The issue is
the desire is there.
The desire is there. The motivation is there, and it's the new shiniest thing. So the good thing is they're starting something new, and hopefully they're learning something at first. But if they're continuing to flip-flop and jump on whatever the bandwagon is, they absolutely need to get a coach. They absolutely need to get someone to keep them accountable, to help focus, to keep the blinders on, because otherwise it's,
you know, even if that's online, right? Because a lot of people that flip-flop cannot make it into the studio, but I think if I could be in their ear,
yes,
that would make a difference.
So, oh my gosh, you're totally right. And for them to to listen to your podcast, that's an element of motivation for the mind.
Yeah, right.
You know, with my online coaching as well, that's something that I tell people. I'm like, this. Sometimes you've probably gotten this before. People say, well, I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. They might think they know what to do. However, there's no structure or system in place. And the fad diets work for a little bit because there's a system. You know, if you follow any program as it's intended, it will work, guaranteed, or it wouldn't be a successful program. However, if the individual is not, powered by someone who really believes in them, like a coach, when they doubt themselves, that's when they fall off. So the coach is there to say, oh, wait a minute, you doubt yourself on day 3? I got your back, and I'm going to pull you right back out of your pity party, and we're going to forge ahead.
One of the things I really liked from a prior episode, you guys will have to go back and check it out, is Heather Powell said, make yourself some make power promises. Make yourself some power promises, which are small, like your water intake, or increasing your leafy greens, whatever it is for you, getting to bed before 10, because the weight gain when you stay up every hour after that is significant. So just finding some promises, they may seem small, but if you can keep a promise to yourself, then you begin to trust yourself and believe in yourself again. It's the reason why you don't believe in yourself is because you're setting these promises you can never keep.
Absolutely. That was so well stated. The truth. Definitely.
Yeah. Now, what around the holidays, what are some, my family, they're diving into, pecan pie, pumpkin pie, every dessert, cookies galore. Mm-hmm. What is your suggestion around that? You're surrounded by goodies.
Okay, so here's the deal. I tell people this next tip. You have to own your relationship with what I call kryptonite foods. And if you're familiar with Superman, we know what kryptonite was. It was the rock that had the potential to kill him. So we all, like, those foods that you just named, those are treats. And those can be my kryptonite. Like, if you leave me alone with my mom's pecan pie, watch out. I'm going to roll in with a cavity and probably some high blood sugar issues. So I know myself. I own it. And I'm pretty open with people at this point in my life to say, you know what? I'm either going to pass on the pie or I am going to enjoy it. I probably will suffer some consequences mentally and physically. However, I have to set a number, and I would need someone, maybe like a spouse, or maybe it is a loved one, to say, you know what, will you help me just monitor that I'm just going to do this one piece of pie, So something like that. Again, a mechanism that's in place where you don't feel that you can't have it at all, or it's all or nothing. So that's my best advice, because I find a lot of times people just don't admit that this is a challenge and know that it's okay. If I, tell people that there was a time I could not, honestly, I could not live with peanut butter in my house. This was many years ago. I'm like, if I have peanut butter, I will lose my SHIT.
Because it was the one thing on your plan. You're allowed to have nut butter, but they didn't say the whole jar, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I knew that was a kryptonite food for me, that for whatever reason, it just triggered something in me. So everyone's relationship with food is different. And some people don't think about it at all. They can pass on the pie, they can have a little bit. But if you're like me and you're like, oh my gosh, that pie is calling my name, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Other than your basic techniques, eat a healthy meal before the party, drink your water, get your workout in. It's learning from behaviors in the past. Where are you going to mentally beat yourself up after eating that pie? Or are you going to say, you know what, I'm pretty damn proud of myself for eating one slice instead of going back for seconds or thirds? So there has to be that point where, you put on your big girl or boy pants and say, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm sticking to that plan I've put in place.
Yeah. And so I know people are going to say this next. This is another thing.
Okay.
What about, so I eat healthy. I'm doing great during the week, but it's the weekend and I'm invited to all these holiday parties, and I'm going to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to holiday party. How can I possibly eat healthy?
Oh, I love this one big time. Okay. So you can go back to that letter grade technique and think, if I'm averaging, if the weekends are bringing down my average letter grade, well, that's your red flag. However, I like to think of my week like I'm balancing my budget or my checkbook. And I only have so much money at the end of the week left. So it's a matter of, okay, if I have 3 holiday parties coming up, I better be on
It's like a budget,
point.
Right?
It is. I better be on point Monday through Thursday, because I know I'm going to be around these treats that I'm still going to monitor myself for. And it does go deeper with some people. I'll tell you this, Linda, I'm sure that you get this, where if we're continuing that approach where it's like, oh, but everyone else was drinking, but my spouse won't help me. It's not their goal. And
it's
you
yours.
have to,
yeah.
That's right. It's your goal. And I guarantee if you're able to exercise a little bit of self-determination and being in charge of your life, you'll wake up the next day feeling like, a bad mofo. I mean, you'll be like, yes, I am the woman. I did it. And the next day is the deciding factor for me. When I wake up the next day and I feel so good, I'm like, it was worth it that I didn't overdo it.
There you go. I think about how you're going to feel afterwards. When you're getting ready to dive in, are you going to be able to dig your way out of this, or are you going to be lost in the trenches of dessert? And then how are you going to feel then the next day, the day after that? It's going to be a downward spiral. So I think you got to think about, how am I going to feel after this? How do I want to feel after this? Yeah. Is this really worth it to me?
100%. Something that is vital, I think, to anyone's success who is listening. You can't just wake up that day and let your day take control of you. The night before is where the magic happens. So you take those 5 minutes, and if I know, it's Thursday night, Friday, it's come feast time, I better have my ducks in a row in some way that I can manage my nutrition according to my goals for Friday. You don't have to look at the whole week all the time, but the night before is when it's really crucial.
Yeah. And planning, that's huge. It's, even if I found myself getting to the point where if I was going away for a week, I was planning in advance. I'm planning, what gym am I going to?
Yeah.
What food am I either going to bring, or what restaurant am I going to? Because that food is not going to show up for you perfectly prepared just the way you wanted it on your plan. You have to be the catalyst behind that.
Oh, yes, you are absolutely correct.
Yes. And that, I mean, you guys, you cannot underestimate the power of planning. It's huge.
And that's every aspect of life. I tell people, when you have your nutrition in order, the rest of your life, there's something magical that happens. You're in a better mood. You feel better. You treat people better. And you have to be structured with other elements. And I find that where people fall back into that flip-flopping diet cycle or the hamster wheel is what you just said, the lack of planning and not making planning a habit. And it has to become a habit.
And then, you know, too, I'll see sometimes there'll be somebody that is doing that whole stop starting, and never really grabbing a hold. And then somebody will come in and pass them up in 8 weeks because they set a goal. So if you don't have any kind of direction and you don't hold yourself to any promises, well, how can you expect to achieve something?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. And I say there's no better time to start eating right than the holidays. So
yes. Yes, a lot of times people say, well, Aubrey, I'm not going to try that right now because of the holidays. And I've been fortunate right now. I have a great pool of online clients that they're ready. They're like, hey, I'm doing another series with you because I do not want to become a statistic, because I have done that so many times and I've learned my lesson. And, you know, by being proactive in that approach, right? Because New Year's resolutions, hey, they're only going to work if you have a new plan.
Basically, when do you want to start feeling better is what I ask people.
Yes.
Because if you want to change, you got to make a change. You got to be the change. You can't keep on, you know, having one more holiday, one more special occasion. You know, I think if you learn to have that lifestyle of, you know, I'm not saying you can never have a treat, but I think you should plan your treats.
Yes.
Especially if it's sugar laden.
Oh boy, I know that sugar, man. It will take.
I just can't do sugar very much. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
The more you eat, the more you want.
You do. It's addictive. It's the drug of choice by a lot of people. But you know, that leads me to my other tip is you have to be an active participant in your health. And what I mean by that is that no one else is going to care probably as much as you do about your health. Often times we think, well, you know, I'll go to the doctor and he or she is going to make sure that I'm well taken care of. And that's not the case. They see so many of people and that they don't have that opportunity to care as much as you should. And it's always hard for probably a family member who sees a loved one struggling with weight, or they're kind of abusing themselves with food as their drug of choice. And, you know, you don't want to see someone like that. But it has to come intrinsically. So as the saying goes, you can't motivate an unmotivated person. But if you're listening to this, you're motivated enough to say, you know what, all right, I need a new system. I need to follow through with this because I'm in charge. I'm in the driver's seat.
There you go. 100%. I mean, that's as with many things, taking responsibility for your own choices.
Yeah, totally. You're totally right. And you know, one thing that I liked that I a few years ago I went to see Tony Robbins speak. He was at one of the
oh, you lucky dog.
Oh my gosh, I was so lucky. He spoke at one of the isogenic celebrations. It was so great.
Oh, wow.
And what I loved about his talk, amongst many things, is that he is all about changing your physical state. So this was one that I wanted to share. Let's say, you know, whenever you find yourself going back into those certain behaviors, his advice was, okay, you have to have a drastic change. So let's say, for example, Linda, that there's the pecan pie. It's in my kitchen right now, and I know it's there. I know it. I don't want to throw it out because my husband wants some of it. So to avoid me going back, eating more and more pie, you literally have to jump up and say, stop. You know, you have to change your state or pinch yourself or splash water on your face in order to retrain your brain to create new behavior patterns. And it sounds crazy, but I love that technique and I share it with people and I do it with myself. I mean, I'm not in the middle of the grocery store saying stop and scaring people, but you know, when we commit the food sin, so to speak, it's typically when we're alone. And in order to try to get out of that habit, because it is just a habit, good or bad, you have to change your state big time.
I love that. And I remember this story from a friend that they had this trainer named Rocco, and literally they were at the ballpark and they were wolfing down on ice cream cones, and he's their trainer. He comes up to him, stop. He's like, what are you doing? Like, you know, I mean, you almost need that voice to just speak to you, right? What are you doing?
No, that is
you're messing up my work.
We all need a Rocco over our shoulders. I jokingly tell my clients, not that any of them would do this, I said, I have surveillance cameras at all the fast food joints. I am watching you. I got my eye on you. So, you know, it's all in good fun. But yeah, we all need a Rocco. That's for sure.
For sure. And I am going to have a podcast about my chapter in the book, Get Out of the Drive-Thru and Into the Kitchen. That's going to be coming up in the next few weeks, because too many of us do not cook anymore. And that is, I'm right there. That's a weight loss waiting to happen if you just start cooking in your kitchen, guys.
Oh my gosh, Linda, I am all over that. I can't wait to release that, because I think it's such a misnomer that we think that it takes so much time to cook a good meal.
Right.
And it really doesn't. It really doesn't. So.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love what you said about the Tony Robbins experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really powerful. I've applied it to myself, and I think we're all works in progress. You know, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I've chosen a field that at one time in my life, I'm also a nutrition specialist. I really struggled with my relationship with food when I was a young girl, but I chose to make it my passion to be relatable, perhaps, but it's my life work to help people, especially now. I mean, I'd love for us to switch the statistic from 70% of Americans are overweight or obese, to switch that around to say 70% of Americans are of a healthy, ideal body weight and body composition. Wouldn't that be awesome in our lifetime?
And the biggest thing is they got to start cooking in their own kitchens and stop going through the drive-through. Got to stop.
Exactly. That's the one thing that you know, I love that you're doing that, because it's so misleading. We are led to believe that fast food is, oh gosh, we just don't have time. We have to go through the drive-through. No. I'm telling you, it's just your new routine.
And then when you really look at, I mean, now they're putting in Ohio, I don't know if they do this everywhere, the calorie content on everything.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, you guys, it's like triple what you could make at home. It's like triple. I mean, it's crazy the amount of calories that you're consuming in a drive-through window.
Let me tell you what, it is very hard to be a thin, healthy person on a fast food diet. So if people are thinking that, oh, this certain fast food place does it healthier, like you said, the caloric content, that's a unit that we would measure that what your point is.
And another suggestion I would make too is, if you're one of those that keeps stopping and starting, I think listening to some good health podcasts and good Audible books, like mine is going to be coming out in the next month. You'll be able to listen to that. I mean, the guy that was helping with the Audible, he could not eat junk food. He said it ruined him because he was listening to my Audible book, and he was like,
that is huge. What a testament. Oh
yeah, he was like editing, and so he's like, oh my gosh, I felt so busted, and you told me so much good information that made me realize why I should try to change. And so I just think hearing the tips, why, how to do it, what you need to do, and then just that daily motivation even if it's just once a week that you're getting a dose of some motivation, I think you got to subscribe to that if you're stopping and starting.
I will tell you this, Linda, I don't know if this is, a wrapping up point, but one statistic that I do recently like to share with a lot of people is that the majority of our thoughts that we think are negative, about 80% of the thoughts that human beings think, and we have anywhere from 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day, if you can imagine that. So if the majority of those thoughts are negative, and then we carry those thoughts over to the next day, think on how hard it is for someone to ever stay motivated on a diet like that. Because at first we have hope, but then that little, the little angel devil on the shoulder, that devil comes in, whatever character you want to give the name to, and that's the negative thought coming in. So when you're talking about feeding your mind with the right fuel, with the positive podcast, that's vital. That's vital to anyone's success. And that has to be implemented as a routine habit if you're going to stick with those plans.
Yeah, definitely changing the stinking thinking between those two ears is huge.
Yeah.
Well, what are some final tips you can leave with everyone that you like to do around the holidays that really help you and that what you think will help our audience?
Well, one major thing, for those listening, if you're not in the health field or a health coach, I want you to know that you are inspiring someone in your life. So think of sometimes it's hard for us to do it for ourselves, which that's another conversation for another day. The self-love, it has to come from that. But when I know that I want to be a good role model and example for my son, that goes a long way. So we have to make that connection to say, you know what, I don't have to tell my son to eat healthy. Now, granted, he's only 2 and he does eat very healthy, but I can use the example of my husband. My husband changed his habits, not because when I met him, not because I told him to, or said, you need to be eating like me. He saw the good that it brought about to my life, and he naturally wanted to change. So by you knowing that you are inspiring someone should be a good enough reason to want to improve your habits this season.
And once you stick to them, because sometimes at first they kind of attack you when you're making huge changes, maybe not your spouse, but people, it could be anybody. But then when they see that you've made a lasting change, then you got their attention and they're like, how did you do that? Please show me how.
There's always the trial period. And I say, choose your support system wisely and choose who you're going to tell that you're going on this new health adventure. Because if you preach it all over social media, yay, guess what? I'm on this new diet. I'm great. People will view you as the fat diet flip-flopper, or everybody has an opinion. So in order to avoid that, choose that support system wisely. It should be a very short list, if a list at all.
Oh yeah. Everybody has an opinion about what you're doing or not doing. So yeah, I think that's a wise advice. Wow. So where can people reach you on social media?
Super easy. Just my name, Aubrey Worek, WOREK.com is my website. My Instagram handle is my name, as well as Facebook page is my name, and can get a hold of my blog, free information that can kind of support this podcast as well. And I need to throw up a picture of us. I found a couple from a FAP show. So we got our blue suits on. So we'll have to throw that up and give a shout out to our fitness days.
Awesome. It's been so great to talk to you and share holiday tips with everybody, both of our audiences. And we wish you a happy holiday season, a happy, healthy holiday season. And please let us know how much you enjoyed this podcast. And as always, you guys, keep on keeping on.